Dominique Miley, hi.
Hey.
Lovely to see you. First of all, before we begin this little interview, I would like to congratulate you on your book, in which you have a chapter, which apparently has just gone to #1 worldwide. The book is called Follow Your Soul's Calling. Could you tell us a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, thank you so much. So it's a book of people sharing a chapter of an experience which led them to being more true to themselves. And in my chapter, which is called The Other Side of Pluto, I describe 8 years of living in Portugal, which have been extremely challenging, but forced me to really go deep in myself and in my alchemical work, and led to the creation of the new Earth Alchemy Academy. So that was my journey.
Amazing. And can you remind us where we can find your book?
Yeah, it's on Amazon.
Great. Okay. So let's talk alchemy. Tell us, please, how did your alchemical work first come about?
So in 2008, I was teaching metamorphic technique all around the world, based in London. And a colleague of mine, a kinesiologist, and I started exploring. And our understanding was that all the experiences that we have in life, whether it's our body or our relationships or our health, everything is fundamentally an energy pattern. And so we thought, well, if there's a block and it's just energy, then can we use our consciousness to transform that energy and therefore evolve ourselves, get lighter, get better results in our lives? And so we started this process of meditating and downloading spiritual technology. In fact, we remembered being alchemists in past lives in Egypt and Atlantis. And this technology came through, which we would always verify with the muscle testing. And we brought in different elements like David Hawkins' scale of consciousness to test how powerful or how deep the pattern was, and then to verify when it was cleared. And so through this partnership, we developed a whole set of pieces of work and some body work and did workshops. And it was 5 years of an amazing creative healing relationship and a huge body of work. And then something strange happened. One day we went to work and we were both meditating, and she got, "You need to step out of the system." And I got, "Don't worry, you'll do it alone, but you'll be fine." And when we went to the website, it was a mass of zeros and ones. It was completely corrupted beyond recognition. So something strange had occurred. We didn't know if it was interference, but we both stopped working together. And I eventually moved from London to Hastings and then to Portugal. When I arrived in Portugal, I was building a country house from a sort of a semi ruin. And 6 months in, there was a giant wildfire. And it was quite a devastating experience. In fact, I put white light around the house to protect it, and it did protect it, but all the land burned. And the community was quite devastated. There was no Wi-Fi for about 4 months, and it was really hard going. And so for a few years after I stopped working with my colleague, Ella Owen, I was downloading little systems, little healing alchemical systems, but I wasn't exactly clear on where I was going and what I was doing. But after the fire, I couldn't believe what I had sort of manifested in my life. And I went back to my alchemical practices to see, what is this about? Am I replaying ancestral stuff? Is this past life stuff? Like, what is going on? And that led to a really deep inner exploration, which just kept on evolving through a whole load of stages, until finally, after 15, 16 years now, I set up the school to share this work with with everybody, basically.
That's fascinating. Could also say this is the kind of the ecology of fire, which is so deeply transformative, if we allow it to be.
Right, right. Wasn't pleasant at the time, but yeah, it was like the phoenix rising, sort of getting back on track. This is what you're meant to be doing, so get on.
So tell us, I mean, if you had to describe, I mean, you've mentioned kinesiology, you've mentioned working with energy. If you had to say what was, if you consider one thing to be particularly unique about your work, what would it be?
My approach, I'm really like like a computer nerd, and I'm an energy nerd. So basically, I'm almost like the guy at the Genius Bar at Apple who goes into the motherboard and goes, oh, it's this and it's this and it's this. That's my approach. So in class, what we do is we look at what is going on in someone's energy matrix, which is like their motherboard, basically. And so we'll say, okay, well, this is going on with your money or your health. And we'll investigate and see, well, is this coming from your ancestors? Are you repeating and healing something for your ancestors? Or is it from a past life? Or is there some interference? Or is it a vow that you made? Or is it a control grid where you're plugged into the collective and sort of um, you know, following on a sort of a collective field of, let's say, fear or poverty or suffering or something. So we investigate. So the class is a real deep dive into the inner workings of our consciousness. And then it's like, how do you use your consciousness to transform this energy that is there?
Amazing. So could you tell us something now about the upcoming alchemy training?
Yeah, it starts in March, on March 10th until May 26th. So it's a 12-week class. It's once a week on Mondays for 2 hours on Zoom with replays if anybody misses a class. And so each week we look at a certain aspect of consciousness. And as a group together, we work to explore what's going on within us. So there's a real deep intimacy within the class because we're sharing, oh, well, in my money area, I've got 20% ancestral patterns and so on. And I include myself in that. I think that's one of the characteristics for me about New Earth training is there's not really a hierarchy, even though I'm holding the space and I'm sharing the pieces, the different things that we work on. But at the same time, I'm a human being, and like you, I'm on this evolutionary awakening path. And so I'm looking into my own stuff as well as working with you. So we get to know each other really intimately, and it's kind of quite a safe space, and it gives people tools to then work on themselves. I mean, the whole 12-week training is an awakening training because we're clearing, and upgrading our frequency. But it also gives you the tools to work on friends, family, or with clients. And you, for example, being a horse whisperer, have even used it with horses, haven't you? Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because one day, yeah, I mean, one particular adventure, I mean, I was working with one horse and I was actually talking with the owner about some of the work that we had been doing in the alchemy class. And what was so beautiful, um, I mean, this is a horse that, I mean, she has a really pronounced sense of space around her. Her boundaries are really strong. So, I'm always, physically one's very much aware of her space and her distance. But I can tell you, and the owner noticed this, that, I mean, when I was describing some of the ancestral and past life work, this lovely horse just came and she just popped her nose literally just next to my hands, and we just stood there. And afterwards, I sort of said I said to her owner, her keeper, I mean, did you see what happened? And she said, yeah. And I said, well, I get the impression that she was saying, and when's my turn? And so, in the end, I did that work at distance, for her, and I went through a whole series. I mean, I adapted the thing completely to kind of horse sense, horse life. So some of the categories that we use with humans weren't really relevant, but I mean, knowing horses very well, I could transpose that. And one of the things that I noticed is that for, I mean, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 sessions, tuning forks had been coming up in the healing with this horse. And what happened is after I did that distance clearing, she never requested tuning forks again. I mean, and she has been, and there was a huge shift. And it was really, really powerful. I mean, it was really evident. And I mean, it was literally from one session to the next. The next time I went out, after I'd done this work, I went out to see her. I checked in with the tuning folks. Not relevant, not relevant, not relevant. And that has been constant. So, I mean, I've got really good empirical evidence to show how, for example, an alchemical clearing at distance can work really powerfully. And the beauty of that was that, of course, that I was invited in to do that. I mean, it was a lovely moment where the host literally just came in and said, right, when is my turn?
It's
So
amazing.
it's beautiful.
So,
Uh,
what that reminds me of, P, is that with this practice, even though people can take it away and then just work with the practice as is, because it's a new earth training, the invitation is to allow it to grow, to expand, to make it your own in a way, in that it's not like the old consciousness teachings where it's like this is it and this is how we do it. It's quite fluid, it's open to people's creativity. So we have one of our students from your class who's now walking the lines of walking the whole of England to join the Marian something lines. I can't remember, but so people are adapting the work to their nature and their particular gifts, and that feels very spacious, and that feels new and new earth, if you like.
yes, I think it makes, um, there are a lot of trainings which are very much based on master pupil. This is the way it is. You've got to do it exactly like this. And some of those, I mean, some of the trainings that I've taken, I mean, if you move anything, you're almost regarded as not being, part of that practice anymore. I won't name examples, but I mean, it's really clear. And I don't resonate with any of that kind of, work because we have reached that point where we can innovate, where we explore, and when we start to have confidence in ourselves,
Yeah.
and we use our energy tools as well. So we ask, is this the right thing? Is this appropriate? Or if this isn't appropriate, well, should I try something else? Or maybe, and so you are sort of unlike the old system, like, say car mechanics, where you've got an engine and you've got the right spanner and so on and so forth, and there's just a way of doing it. Here, you're sort of almost building a new toolkit when you need to.
It's creative, and it allows you to be your own authority, your own master, and to just follow your nature and your inner guidance. That's really the most important thing, and your guides. So yeah.
And that's certainly, as I see it, that's certainly, one of the big differences between this training and other trainings that I've done in the holistic healing field.
Yeah, and for me as a teacher, it's more fun because it's always creative. Otherwise, it would get very boring to just keep on teaching the same material year in and year out. So yeah,
And that brings me to perhaps a question that we've already partially answered. I mean, who is your course intended for?
I mean, I think honestly, in the next few years, everybody's going to be waking up more and more, and I think they already are, to the fact that we have this inner guidance and that we have these super skills that are not, that they're just emerging, and some people are using them. And then this is just a class to teach you to learn to use your super skills. That's it, basically. But in 100 years, maybe everybody will work this way. So if you fall down, you'll work immediately to remove the trauma and bring in healing, and suddenly there'll be no issue. That we can work much faster and much deeper with everything when we work with our consciousness. And that's it. It's essentially learning to use your consciousness to work with everything, because everything is consciousness. So it is for everybody, but it might be for mothers because they're holding space for a family so they can heal the home, they can heal the children, they can heal their relationship, they can heal their body, they can rejuvenate the body. I mean, we have a body alchemy class as a sort of, there's the first level one, which is starting in March, but then there's a body class, and then there's an advanced class, and then a mentorship. So there's opportunity to keep on learning. But it might also be for healers who want to bring it into their practices, or even yoga teachers. Like if a yoga teacher sets the space first, clears the room of all the energies that have been in the room previously and sets the space for deep healing, that class is going to be completely different from somebody who's just come in with a gym kind of mentality, which is also good, but it's just different. So, it's about working with space, consciousness, all of that.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Well, as a personal witnessing, I mean, I have worked, through the first alchemy course, the second alchemy course, the body alchemy. I mean, I love it, and I can certainly, as a personal witnessing. And there's also someone who's trained extensively. I mean, through kinesiology, through this diploma, through the all the Reiki work that I've done. I mean, many, 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 many things. So, I've got a wide range of experience in different healing modalities. I think the New Earth Alchemy is so interesting and so deep. And just that working with it and being able, as I said, like to use it as a toolkit, and you just work out, so okay, so you're working with a squirrel or you're working with a horse. So it's different. Squirrel stuff is different from horse stuff. And, so I mean, it's like, it's so interesting when we start to go into that and then start to realize, because there is a huge empowerment, because we have always sort of say, well, what did the master say? What did the teacher say? What does it say in the guidebook? What does the manual tell us? So, but when you're sort of sitting here thinking, oh, well, actually, like I am getting this, I'm getting some information, or maybe I will test that. So you're also working with your intuition, and you just follow that guidance through, and then things come up and you think, whoa, that is so amazing. And I find that, I mean, I find that so beautiful. And we have to learn how to do that, because we have been enchained by systems, by, the universities, by the structure, by the degree, by all this sort of stuff, into a way in which we've got to sort of replicate what has gone before in order to reach mastery. And now we're sort of moving into another sphere. It's like we're just leaping off that springboard. And I think this is, again, when people are ready to do that and are confident and actually listen to their own voices and their own intuitions, it can be so, so amazing. I mean, it's a real step. So I totally recommend this. And for those who are watching who might wonder, I think this is, for those who have not been, who are not maybe professional, holistic practitioners or whatever, healers, whatever. This is for your self-healing. It's for your
Yeah.
self-healing journey. And if you are a practitioner of whatever it is, whether it's tuning forks or body massage, or whether it's walking ley lines, or whether it's working with horses, you work with this, and you just use the tools. You work with what's coming up, and it's just beautiful. So, the I think my last question would just be, can you remind us, of the details of your course, just so that everyone knows where they can find you, remind us when it begins, and the key infos.
Okay, yeah. So the website is dominiquemully.com, and the dates are March 10th to May 26th. So it's Monday nights from 7 to 9 p.m. UK time. And people can have a chat with me if they're wondering whether it's right for them. They can just do a free discovery session and we can talk about it and see if that feels good. So, Pete, thank you. You're so inspiring.
Brilliant. Well, you are so inspiring. Your teaching is great. It's been an absolute pleasure being able to learn with you and from you, and to go on and integrate that with all my own healing practices. So, from me, big, big, big thanks, deep gratitude. And as I say, for those who have not yet taken a New Earth Alchemy course, I highly recommend. You will just see how amazing it is. It will really shift some deep, deep, deep work. So thank you, Dominique.
Thank you, Pete. Awesome. That
You're
was so
most welcome.
Bye.